Hello everyone, it's Annie and I'm here today with one of my favorite videos to make every single year. It is for the Trans Day of Visibility on March 31st coming up really soon, and also this year it is for the Trans Rights Readathon, and I'll link my announcement of my participation up here and in the description. Definitely check that out if you want to support trans rights. So in this video, I am going to talk about some of my favorite books by trans and non-binary authors that I've read in this past year. And then also I have a pretty sizable list of books by non-binary and trans authors that I want to read, hopefully sooner rather than later. So sit back, relax, and let's go. So first I'm going to talk about the books that I have read and really want to recommend to you guys. First, we have We Deserve Monuments by Jas Hammonds, and this is one of the best books I've read this year. I read it in February and it was just so spectacular. It is a YA contemporary. It is sapphic, which is just perfect for me. You know that makes every book better for me. But it's sapphic and contemporary and deals with a girl who is moving with her parents to go help her basically dying grandmother who is dying of breast cancer. And this grandmother she's only met when she was very, very young. She doesn't remember her. Her mom and her grandmother don't have a good relationship at all. And so when she meets the grandma, they kind of butt heads sometimes, but she learns to love her. And this is just a beautiful, beautiful story about family and about overcoming horrific circumstances. Definitely do check out trigger warnings in this book. There are a lot. The story takes place in Georgia, and there's a lot of racism, both historical and in the contemporary setting. So it can be really upsetting, and this book is really, really hard-hitting because, of course, the grandmother does die at the end. That's not a spoiler. She's terminal. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful story, and I really think that it deserves way more hype than it's getting. And then we have one of my favorite books of last year, or maybe my most favorite, is These Violent Delights by Micah Nemerever. Okay, not Chloe Gong. This is the other one. This is the Dark Academia one. And this book is one of the most beautiful pieces of writing I have ever read in my life. I don't know how the author writes like he does, and this was his debut, and it was just stunning. Like I still think about how gorgeous the writing in this book was, and I don't really tend to reread books all that much, but I am kind of getting the urge to reread this one. It is so beautiful. It centers on a very, very toxic, very codependent relationship between two college boys, and the prologue really sucks you in, okay? This is such a great dark academia. If you're into queer dark academia, you should not miss this book because it is just one of my favorites of all time. Next, we have a wonderful space opera, which is Genesis of Misery by Neon Young. And if you know me, you know I love Neon Young's Tenserate series, which is a series of novellas. This is a full-length novel. It is so good. This is all I'm going to say about it, okay? If you like Pacific Rim, Gear Breakers, Iron Widow, or Neon Genesis Evangelion, you will just pick this book up. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. It's a given, okay? It's just so good. Non-binary main character named Misery, okay? It's just spectacular. And it is a retelling of Joan of Arc in space. How much cooler can you get, okay? I loved this. I just don't know what else to say about it. It's just so cool. And just one of the most unique things I've ever read. Neon Young really is so great at world building and just building such a unique setting in their sci-fi and fantasy novels. It's just amazing and just unmatched. So you really need to try this one out, please. And then we have another retelling, which is Self-Made Boys by Anna Marie McElmore. This is a really great Gatsby retelling, okay? Gatsby and his friend Nick, that's his name, are both trans men in this retelling, and it was just done so spectacularly. This is part of the YA remix series. There's a couple of books in this series, all by different authors, that put a twist on it. And I really, really love this one. I think this is my favorite that I've read so far. I've read a couple of them, and I loved it. There's not really much negative that I could ever say about it. It's just really, really good. I also love the fact that Nick was Latinx in this, and that was just weaved in a really, really well done way. And Daisy had a really great part in this book as well. And I mean, you're gonna like this book if you liked the original Great Gatsby, and of course, if you liked its queerness that was definitely coded into it, because of course there's a little romance between Nick and Gatsby in this book, which I love and was definitely going on in the original book. So I just thought this was spectacular. Okay, there are a couple of books that I own physically that I want to talk about. You guys might be sick of me talking about The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke, but I can't have a video about non-binary and trans authors without talking about this, okay? The Unbroken is an amazing, epic political fantasy. It's so good, and it's sapphic, of course, and I just absolutely adore Terrain, who's on the cover here. She is just a muscle mommy, and I love her, okay? I'm in love with her. Yeah, so it follows Terrain, who is a soldier. She was stolen as a child and raised to kill and die for the Empire. But now her company has been sent back to her homeland that she was stolen from to stop a rebellion against the Empire that she works for. Love that dynamic so much. I'm obsessed with that. Okay, I'm obsessed. Luca, the love interest, needs a turncoat because she wants to usurp her uncle and take back her throne, and Terrain is just the person to do that, and maybe they fall in love, and the tension between them, the politics in this book, the drama, oh my god, the suspense, it is just unmatched. This is one of my favorite books that I have read in recent years, to be quite honest. It is so good, and you need to read it. And then I also have So This Is Ever After by F.T. Lukens, which is just a super, super fun kind of retelling of the Arthurian legend. And it's a male-male romance, and it is very, very D&D-esque, kind of cozy fantasy with this arranged marriage happening because their party goes and is going to save the kingdom, and some things happen, complicated circumstances happen to make it so that he has to become the king, and he doesn't want to, but he has to. And then since he's king, if he doesn't find someone to marry by his 18th birthday, I believe it is, then he's gonna die. So there's all this stuff, this whole rigmarole goes on, but of course he's in love with him, and they, you know, it's great. It's great. I really, really enjoyed this. This was a really, really funny book as well, and it was just like a comforting, fun fantasy read that I really recommend. Okay, and last book that I want to recommend is a novella. It's called The Bruising of Kilwa, and it is in a queer normative Persian-inspired fantasy world. Really cool stuff. Okay, the world building in this is really, really awesome. I just wish that this was longer than a novella because I really would have loved to see it developed a little bit more, but I'm definitely super interested in reading this author's other works. Their name is Nassim Jamnia, and I thought this was great. So the basic premise is that there are these two societies or countries that are at odds with each other, and then a refugee coming from one of them goes to work in a clinic, but he has or they have this illegal blood magic that they have to hide, and it's complicated. There's a lot of complicated politics and stuff, which I really enjoy. There's twists and betrayals and really, really fun stuff, and like I said, a queer normative world with a non-binary protagonist. And it's just really good. So, and it's short, so why not check it out? Okay, so now we're on to books that I really, really want to read but have not gotten the chance to yet. First one I want to mention is World Running Down by Al Hess, which is published by Angry Robot very recently in February. It sounds amazing. It's a sci-fi, and it just, I really want to read this. Okay, love the cover as well. So it follows Valentine Weiss, who is a salvager in the future wastelands of Utah. Wrestling with body dysphoria, he dreams of earning enough money to afford citizenship in Salt Lake City, a utopia where the testosterone and surgery he needs to transition is free, food is plentiful, and folk are much less likely to be shot full of arrows by salt pirates. But earning that kind of money is a pipe dream until he meets the exceptionally handsome Osric. Once a powerful AI in Salt Lake City, Osric has been forced into an android body against his will and sent into the wasteland to offer Valentine a job on behalf of his new employer, an escort service seeking to retrieve their stolen androids. The reward is a visa into the city and a chance at the life Valentine's always dreamed of. But as they attempt to recover the merchandise, they encounter a problem. The android ladies are becoming self-aware and have no interest in returning to their old lives. The prize is tempting, but carrying out the job would go against everything Valentine stands for and would threaten the fragile found family that's kept him alive so far. He'll need to decide whether to risk his own dream in order to give the AI a chance to live theirs. Very cool. I already love the world building, just like the dystopian world building, just from that synopsis. I really want to read this. It sounds amazing. Next, we have a very interesting book called Tears in the Water, which looks like the swimming anime Free if it had trans characters, and I really want that. So yeah, so this says, at White Ravens University, where athletes train to become professional sports people, Alex is on the swimming team with her best friend. Having grown up mostly alone, parents absent and brother often too busy, Alex tends not to meet new people. After an embarrassing encounter with a boy from the volleyball team, Alex soon discovers that the world isn't so big after all, and the universe has a funny way of setting people up. Despite her reserved character, Alex becomes part of a newly formed friend group consisting of 4 amazing people with different identities and personalities. As she tries to overcome her anxiety of negative past events, Alex finds herself both struggling with romantic feelings and a full-blown gender crisis. So, I'm not gonna lie, this synopsis is pretty vague, but this author is really active on TikTok, so definitely go follow them. I just really want more gay sports anime stuff, so this sounds like it was made for me, to be honest, so I'm gonna read it. Next, I have 2 books by Lex Croucher or Lex Croucher, I'm not sure. The first is the one I'm most excited about. It's a YA book coming out this November, so it's not out quite yet, but I'm definitely going to read it like as soon as it comes out. It's called Gwen and Art Are Not in Love. So it is a queer medieval rom-com. Those aren't words you hear every day, and I love them. I love that combination. So, it's been hundreds of years since King Arthur's reign. His descendant, Arthur, a future lord and general gadabout, I don't know what that means, has been betrothed to Gwendolen, the quick-witted, short-tempered princess of England since birth. The only thing they can agree on is that they despise each other. They're forced to spend the summer together at Camelot in the run-up to their nuptials, and within 24 hours, Gwen has discovered Arthur kissing a boy, and Arthur has gone digging for Gwen's childhood diary and found confessions about her crush on the kingdom's only lady knight. I could just stop right there and be very excited, okay? So realizing that they might make better allies than enemies, they make a reluctant pact to cover for each other, so like a lavender wedding. And as things heat up at the annual royal tournament, Gwen is swept off her feet by her knight, and Arthur takes an interest in Gwen's royal brother. Oh god. Okay, so it says there's sword fighting, found family, and romantic shenanigans. It sounds so cute, and I need this. The other book by them is Infamous, which the cover is really cute. This is an adult romance. It follows aspiring writer Edith with her best friend Rose, who have always done everything together, including practicing kissing. So it's sapphic, okay? In like the Regency era, I believe this is. But following their debutante ball, Rose is suddenly talking about marriage, and Edith is horrified and upset, understandably. When Edith meets charming, renowned poet Nash, he invites her to his crumbling Gothic estate in the countryside. The entourage of eccentric artists indulging in pure hedonism is exactly what she needs in order to forget Rose. But she might discover the world of famous literary icons isn't all poems and pleasure. Interesting, very interesting concept. I like it, and I'm definitely going to be reading it. The next book is Prince of the Sorrows by Kellen Graves. This cover has made me want to read this book for a really, really long time, and I don't really have any excuse not to. It's awesome. It looks really cool, okay? So without an academic endorsement to make him valuable to the high fae, so this is a fae fantasy romance, which I don't normally read, but it looks really good. Saffron will be sent back through the veil to the human world, the place where he was traded from as a changeling baby, and a place he's terrified of. And while getting an endorsement shouldn't be impossible, it's hindered by the fact that his literacy is self-taught. When mistaken identity leads to Saffron learning the true name of brooding, self-centered high fae prince Sylvan, what begins as a risk of losing his life becomes an opportunity to earn the future he wants. In exchange for an endorsement, he and Sylvan form a gace, where Saffron agrees to find a spell to strip power from Sylvan's true name. While Prince Sylvan doesn't know Saffron can barely read, Saffron is determined to meet his end of the deal in order to remain in Alfidel, or maybe just to remain by Sylvan's side as affections grow stronger every night. Okay. This is a new adult book. Again, I'm not one to pick up a fantasy fae romance, but it's gay and sounds really good, so I'm here for it. The next book I want to talk about is Bianca Torre is Afraid of Everything, which is a YA novel. Sounds awesome. It's coming out this April, so very, very soon. Okay, so it follows 16-year-old Bianca Torre, who is an avid birder undergoing a gender identity crisis and grappling with an ever-growing list of fears. Some, like Fear 6, initiating conversation, keep them constrained in their bedroom to watch birds from a telescope. But when their gaze wanders from the birds to one particular window across the street, Bianca witnesses a creepy murderer take their neighbor's life. Worse, the death is ruled a suicide, forcing Bianca to make a choice: succumb to their long list of fears, or investigate what happened. Bianca enlists the help of their friend Anderson, but the two have more knowledge of anime than true crime. As they dig deeper into the murder with a little help from Bianca's crush and fellow birding aficionado Elaine, the trio uncovers a conspiracy much larger and weirder than they imagined. Okay, so this is described as a bizarrely absurdist comical YA thriller. It's sapphic, has a non-binary protagonist. It sounds really cool, and this cover is awesome, so I'm definitely going to pick it up when it comes out. Switching gears just a little bit, I want to mention a nonfiction book that I really want to read, which is Before We Were Trans by Kit Hayam. So this book illuminates the stories of people across the globe from history to the present whose experiences of gender have defied binary categories. So it blends historical analysis with sharp cultural criticism, and trans historian and activist, the author Kit Hayam offers a new, radically inclusive trans history, chronicling expressions of trans experience that are often overlooked, like gender non-conforming fashion and wartime stage performance. Okay, so it talks about times in history like Renaissance Venice, 17th century Angola, Edo period Japan, and early America. And this just sounds really fascinating. I wanted to read it during Nonfiction November this past year, but I didn't get around to it, so I'm definitely going to be reading it this year. The next video is She Is a Haunting, which is a YA horror sapphic novel. Okay. So this follows Jade Nguyen, who arrives in Vietnam for a visit with her estranged father. And she has one goal: survive 5 weeks pretending to be a happy family in the French colonial house Ba is restoring. She's always lied to fit in, so if she's straight enough, Vietnamese enough, American enough, she can get out with the college money he's promised. But The house has other plans. Night after night, Jade wakes up paralyzed. The walls exude a thrumming sound while bugs leave their legs and feelers in places they don't belong. Creepy. She finds curious traces of her ancestors in the gardens they once tended, and at night, Jade can't ignore the ghost of the beautiful bride who leaves her cryptic warnings. Don't eat. Neither Ba nor his sweet sister Lily believe that there is anything strange happening. With help from a delinquent girl, Jade will prove this house, the home her family has always wanted, will not rest until it destroys them. Interesting. So, I'm very excited about this. Okay, it just sounds awesome. I mean, I don't even need to explain myself. The synopsis says it all. Okay, next we have a book coming out in July, which is Mortal Follies by Alexis Hall. Okay, it is about a young noblewoman who must pair up with a rumored witch to ward off a curse. So this is a historical fantasy LGBT novel. We're getting a lot of those. That's fun. I like that. It's the year 1814, and life for a young lady of good breeding has many difficulties. There are balls to attend, fashions to follow, marriages to consider, and of course, the tiny complication of existing in a world swarming with fairy spirits, interfering deities, and actual sorcerers. Miss Malis Mitchellmore finds her entry into high society hindered by an irritating curse. However, as the curse progresses to more fatal proportions, she must seek out aid. And there are few less desirable companies than Lady Georgiana Landrake, who is a brooding yet alluring young woman sardonically nicknamed the Duke of Annandale, who may or may not have murdered her own father and brothers to inherit their fortune. Okay. But this malign enchantress may be exactly what Malis Mitchellmore needs. With her help, Malis delves into a world of angry gods and vindictive magic. But her reputation is not the only thing at risk in spending time with her new ally, for the rumored witch has her own secrets that may prove dangerous to Miss Mitchellmore's heart, not to mention her life. So this is interesting, a very interesting concept for a lesbian book. I'm excited about it. The cover is really, really cool. I just love this cotton candy-esque color scheme, so I'll try it out. And the last book on this list is Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White, which follows 16-year-old trans boy Benji, who is on the run from the cult that raised him, the fundamentalist sect that unleashed Armageddon and decimated the world's population. Desperately, he searches for a place where the cult can't get him, or more importantly, the bioweapon they infected him with. But when cornered by monsters born from the destruction, Benji is rescued by a group of teens from the local LGBT center. Their leader, Nick, is the gorgeous, autistic, and a deadly shot, and he knows Benji's darkest secret. The cult's bioweapon is mutating him into a monster deadly enough to wipe humanity from the face of the earth. Still, Nick offers Benji shelter among his ragtag group of queer teens, as long as Benji can control the monster and use its power to defeat them. Eager to belong, Benji accepts Nick's terms, until he discovers the mysterious leader has a hidden agenda. Interesting. So this is a very queer YA dystopian. I do like books about cults, and this book has gotten so much buzz since it was published last year that I do really, really want to read it. Okay, and that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, really enjoy making this video every year, taking a look at the new books by trans and non-binary authors that I can put on my list. If you guys have any more recommendations, I'd really, really love to hear them. Definitely comment down below, all right? And definitely check out my announcement about the Trans Rights Readathon. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out, and I'll see you next time. Bye!